Welcome into Boston has entered the chat. Travis Thomas here with my main man who never knows what I'm going to say. George Balekji here inside the PNC Bank Studios. How you doing, my friend?
What game? What is that? What is that?
You don't know nothing about Triple H? You don't know nothing about Triple H?
Yeah. Wait,
Hey.
I got you. Ready? No, I'm not doing that in the studio.
Oh, you did that.
I'm not spitting water in the
It would
studio.
make great content, but they would be upset with us for the mess.
I love the setup we have,
Yeah.
what Jay Saracen and Greg Poth do
Yes.
to keep us on air and
Yes.
keep us going with these pods.
Yes.
Last thing I'm going to do is tick them off.
Yeah, they would be very upset
There are
with
people in
you.
this building I don't care to piss off. I do not want to piss off one of them too.
Stay on the good side of all the directors because all of a sudden the mic stopped working when you're trying to make a point. You're like, what's
Yeah.
going on? It's a team effort here. And as always, we need you on the team. Hit us up, 617-790-0928. Leave us your voicemails. We play them on the show. We talk about them on the show. Hell, good or bad. I mean, people leave all kinds of nonsense saying that we don't like this show. What are you guys talking about? And we play those too. So get involved. You can also email us, the chat@nesson.com.
My friend, that lady with a nice southern draw
Yeah.
that called me really, really stupid
She
last
did.
week. I hope she calls again.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Hey,
saying.
You left us a voicemail.
Yeah.
Didn't leave a name. That's fine. You don't
Fine.
have to.
Yeah.
Please call back. Call me really stupid again. And then if Drake Maye plays this Sunday, let's have a conversation and call again.
Okay, more on that.
We'll see who's stupid.
Hey, we're going to get to that. Is it time to play Drake Maye? I'm a poet and didn't know it. We'll talk rookie quarterbacks, Jayden Daniels, Caleb, of course, but we start with the news about Jabrill Peppers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, George, this is tough stuff here. Peppers arrested on assault, strangulation, cocaine possession charges. Allegedly, Jabrill Peppers was accused of hitting his girlfriend and choking her at least 6 times, according to court documents. George, I mean, how does this affect the team moving forward now as we sort of pick up the pieces from this? I mean, this is the team captain, George. On defense, this guy is one of your leaders doing this stuff on and off day. Your thoughts on the Peppers situation?
Off day, game day, practice day, I don't care. He's doing this stuff. That is tough. This is a guy that the Patriots committed to. 3-year, $24 million deal this offseason. Gave him guaranteed money. Put that C patch on his jersey. A guy that is run downhill, set the tone, play 100 miles per hour every single snap on defense.
Yep.
And with the key pieces missing from this team, Juwan Bentley and Kyle Duggar, as we saw on Sunday. Jabrill Peppers was already going to miss that game with a shoulder injury. I mean, team-wise, that's when you're having Jalen Hawkins playing every single snap on defense, who is a work in progress on safety. Del Pettis stepping up. Marte Mapu coming back into the fold, but that's a guy that can be a linebacker, line up at nickel. Literally every which way is a Swiss Army knife and is really smart.
Yep.
This is just the leadership. That's what's tough to me. This is a kid, a guy that's been in the league for a long time. I don't want to get into the details of these allegations, but go read them. I mean, it's hard to read.
Yeah.
On top of everything, like at this point in his career, Jabrill Peppers is a full-on adult.
Yes.
He's played at Cleveland. He's played in New York. He's been playing in New England. Like, there's no excuse for him to even put himself in this situation.
That's right.
To hang with these people. The cocaine accusation of having that possession, that's what gets me. The amount of people, athletes alone, if you want to look at people that you know that have lost their life to fentanyl, which is in cocaine, and you don't know if it's in that until it's too late. And you're going to mess with that after a team makes this commitment to you. As a guy that I've been around since he's been in New England. I knew about Jabrill going back to his high school days.
That's right.
Growing up in Paterson, New Jersey. And what I read about him in New York, same in Cleveland, picked up from talking to him in New England and here with the Patriots, like leader, solid guy. Everyone loves him. In the media that talks to him, the teammates that revere him and just support him so much. To make this big of a mistake, I know he knows he effed up. As Gerard Mayo said, he called him Sunday morning. He said, this is what's happening. This is what went down. They let the league know and wait for more steps to come down as of the recording of this pod. For him to put himself in this situation, to hang with these people, to let this happen and to get to this point.
Can't.
And again, just people make mistakes. No one is perfect. I hope he grows from it. I hope he's okay. I hope the alleged victim is all right and everything like that. It's just hearing those cocaine possessions, the allegations of that. That's what gets me. And someone that means so much to this team in this locker room, in that leadership room, to make such a big mistake like this. I honestly read it. I don't care about football. I thought about the alleged victim in this. I thought about the
Yeah.
people that deal with this every day.
Yep.
And I've thought about people that have lost someone that's meant so much to them.
Sure.
Because of an awful drug like coke.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not being on a high horse, like have a good time. Just be smart.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's in it. And it's just you are selfish at this point. If you do that, if you use it, it's just mistake on mistake. And then, yeah, look at the football aspect. But honestly, this team's crap. So with or without Jabrill, they're going to suck. I just hope he finds the help he needs. And we'll see what comes of this. Because right now, lawyers have spoken. They said there's evidence against these allegations, all that. It's going to be a long process.
Yeah.
He's not going to be with the team for the near future.
I don't think so either. And I think you covered the drug side of things beautifully in that aspect. I'm more on the other side of the domestic stuff. I mean,
Right.
a lot of things that happen with these players off the field, some of it is forgivable. When you start getting into, hitting women and all that stuff allegedly, that's where you lose me. As far as on the field goes, and that stuff will play out in court, as you said. So we'll see what happens with Peppers. As far as on the field, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, this team stinks as is. And you're low on playmakers on both sides of the ball as is. So now you take this guy who was a supposed leader and making plays for you defensively. He was having a very good season up until this point, obviously. And now he's out of the fold. I'm with you. I don't believe he's going to be here for the foreseeable future with this stuff. This is devastating in that sense because you already have a team that can't afford to lose any damn body that can make a play. And now you lose arguably your best defensive player. So this is, by the way, the Houston Texans coming to town. CJ Stroud,
That offense.
all those weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like when it rains, it pours, and it's looking bleak here for the Patriots. Drake Maye catching a lot of heat for how this is handled, how he looks. This is the culture now, right? So,
Yeah.
right, look, right or wrong if you're blaming Drake Maye. Obviously, Peppers made his own decision here,
Yeah.
but it's not a good look for a new head coach. This is the last thing he needs to be dealing with, and it sends a message of, around the league or on the outside looking in, is this what the new Patriots is all about? Is this what the new culture Drake Maye is preaching, which we know it's not?
And it's for the people that may accuse Drake Maye of like, this is a culture you breathe.
Yeah.
Like, what is he going to drive him home
That's
every
what I'm
night?
saying. Like,
Going to call him every Saturday night? Like,
he's not
at
a
the point, this
babysitter.
is an adult and you're making these decisions. And people to say, well, this is on Drake Maye and his culture. Chandler Jones played for Bill Belichick when all that happened.
Yeah.
Jack Jones tried to take guns onto a plane playing for Bill Belichick. Those are two that come to mind in all of this.
Yep.
And if you look back on it, you said it, a guy he was a leader before he even got that captain's patch.
Yeah.
He was a leader from day one, a huge piece on defense.
Yep.
We've said it. You got to say it again with this team now. As they can't beat the second worst offense in the NFL, as they can't score more than 13 points, they are now without David Andrews, Christian Barmore, Jawan Bentley, and we'll see how long Jabrill Peppers is out. That is for a long term. They're without those four guys alone. Before you get into we'll see what happens with Kyle Duggar and how long his ankle will have him out.
Right.
And the other pieces that they've lost. And we can go into the Matt Judah. It's just there are indispensable guys.
Mm-hmm.
Andrews, Bentley, Barmore, Peppers, all that. And what was the one thing we gave this team? Top 5 defense.
Yeah.
Top 5 defense. Top 5 defense.
Is
they lost their best player on the defensive line. They lost their best player on the second level in Jawan Bentley and their smartest player.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost one of their best players in a secondary, in a passing
And
league,
a leader.
in a schedule where you have CJ Stroud, Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Matt Stafford, right?
Maybe Tua.
Yeah.
Maybe Kyler Murray.
Dude, I don't.
Josh Allen twice.
Hey.
Herbert.
Joe effing Flacco and Michael Pittman.
Right. Yeah.
Josh Allen twice. Justin Herbert. This quarterback that they have, it is dire right now what the Patriots are going through. And I put the news that broke and what happened Saturday night. That accountability lies with the individual that is his own adult.
It's his fault. Absolutely.
That's And you heard it. I heard it like watching Drake Maye in his normal Monday morning radio spot and his normal Monday morning presser. 1 in 4 will make a coach be less charismatic, shorter answers.
Sure.
He sounded beaten down.
Yeah, he
right?
does.
He sounded it.
Yeah.
This on top of that, like that's why I heard Gerard Mayo speaking right off the bat. I'm like, that is not the same Gerard Mayo we know. And I get it with the 1-4 record, but this piled on top of that. Yeah. And that's a guy I bet he looked to, worked with very closely because Gerard Mayo was obviously a massive assistant on this defense. Spent a lot of time in meetings with Jabrill. There has to be disappointment in this.
Of course there is. And think about this too. Gerard Mayo played in this league. He was on teams with guys who went nuts off the field and got in trouble. He knows what it is as a player, but this is certainly his first rodeo as a coach dealing with this. And so now you have to deal with these questions that is going to hang over his head as long as this investigation or whatever you want to call it goes on. So it's almost a learning experience for Gerard Mayo as well. And I think there is a lesson because you're right. What do you want the guy to do? He's not his babysitter. He can't hold his hand when he's not in the facility or having anything to do with football. At the same time, I do believe, this culture that he has propped up of you have a voice, how you feel matters. We want to have fun. We want everyone to feel welcome. You also have to just hammer home. I mean, you have to hammer it home. That's all these coaches in this league of you have got to stay on the straight and narrow too. You cannot go out here and get in trouble and bring this kind of heat to the team. Gerard Mayo has to deal with that now too with the guys he does have in the locker room. And look, this is a young team. This is the other part about this.
Yeah.
Peppers is a veteran.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you have all these young guys trying to learn how to be pros, and your leader, your veteran, goes out and does this. That's got to be tough for a new head coach to deal with, too.
He's been in the league for a long time.
Yeah.
What did he get drafted? Maybe 2016?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
15, 16, like in that range? I don't know. At most, it's 8 years. At least he's been in the league 6 years, 5, 6 years.
That's what I'm saying.
And this is a guy that was the man in New Jersey. And you hear that, and I mean it, with 4 straight years, starting cornerback for the number 1 team in the country, Don Bosco Prep and Paramus Catholic.
Wow.
4 straight state titles. Going to Michigan,
Jeez.
Heisman conversations.
Yeah.
You never hear of these missteps like this.
Right.
He didn't have these mistakes.
Right.
He didn't have these mistakes. And it's important that you point out, too, of like, you're putting your hands on anyone, let alone a female. Like, it's just awful what he did. And the person we've seen in the past and the person that I've interacted with on a media basis.
You always liked him. Mm-hmm.
You know that he knows he effed up. Mm-hmm. He called Gerard Mayo right away of like, he called him. The agent didn't call him.
Right.
He called him. He took that tough phone call.
Yep.
That's a huge mistake. And that's why I feel for the alleged victim in this and her family and anyone that has dealt with this in any way, which is awful.
Yeah.
And just all the stuff off the field is what gets me. And then, yeah, you can get into it. And I understand it too. Like, football is a big thing here, but it's just there's so many ramifications in this scenario.
All right, now on the field, it didn't stop there. Like, now is this time for Drake Maye. So usually in these situations after a loss, Gerard Mayo comes to the podium. They start asking him, hey, coach, is it time for a quarterback change? And he says, hey, we're always evaluating everyone. We're fair around here. Even myself, I evaluate. But Jacoby's our guy. Well, for the first time, when you know it, Adam Schefter tweeted this too, that, hey, Gerard Mayo now is kind of leaving it open as to who will be starting against the said Texans that we brought up. Is it time for Drake Maye? Do you believe, with Gerard Mayo kind of playing a little cat and mouse game here, we could see the kid against C.J. Stroud and the Texans?
Adam Schefter. Let me start with this.
So many places you want to go. I see the wheels spinning.
I put it like a million ping pong balls going off in my head. I want to start with Mike Reese put out his opinion/analysis.
Okay.
And Mike Reese is an institution here in New England.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest people you'll cross paths with, full stop.
Connected with the
Reporter
Patriots.
As a human being. Mike Reese is fantastic. And in what we do, where I try to think outside the box and I want to give my opinion, and I do want to have takes. I have my opinions. I'm going to put them out there. I love doing it every day.
Sure.
Mike Reese isn't one to go out there and stoke a flame and just put something out there to put something out there. So it started with his tweet where he said, there's a notable shift in Gerard Mayo's answers regarding quarterback situation in his day after game video conference compared to past weeks. Mayo said last week the way the team won, its only game was unsustainable, and he seems very strongly to be considering a switch to Drake Maye. Then you have Adam Schefter, who is plugged in with the Patriots, is a team-friendly reporter. If it's Elliot Wolf in that building, whoever. Putting out a quarterback change could soon be coming to New England with rookie first-round pick Drake Maye potentially starting Sunday versus Texans. The first report goes out, and that is Mike Reese seeing something and putting it out there. The second one is Adam Schefter picking up his call and calling Elliot Wolf or whoever it may be at one Patriot place and going, what's happening? Shoot, it could be the reverse of, we just lost. We're 1-4.
Yep.
We looked like the most inept team in the world.
They are.
5 of the first 8 possessions were 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
They threw the ball 8 straight times to end the game. When they had a minute 12, 3 timeouts, averaging almost 8 yards a carry, with Ramondre Stevenson only at that point, Trav, with 12 carries. It's not like he was at 35 and gassed. Lost a game that way against an awful Dolphins team. Everything's unraveling. Could be the Patriots picking up the phone. Hey, put this report out, Schefter. Because Robert Kraft sitting in that stadium where it was like 75, 85% full, a lot of booze raining down. On a beautiful fall day in New England. Wait, why isn't the stadium full? We've been on the road.
Winnable
We're back
game.
home name. It's our second home game of the year. I'd rather go drink apple cider and have apple cider donuts on a Sunday than go watch that team. That's what people are saying. Rather be outside enjoying, rather be at home and watching Red Zone than driving. This is, by the Patriots, a desperation play, in my opinion. It's not going to go well because the offensive line played well, T. I went on here and said Vidarian Lowe is my game MVP.
You did.
0 pressures and 37 dropbacks. Great job. That was against a Jalen Phillips-less defensive line.
Sure.
Zach Sealer was their best. We've seen back-to-back games this year where Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter combined for 13 or more pressures.
Gosh.
And if I take week 5 alone, in a game where the Patriots were averaging almost 8 yards a rush, and if you take away Ramondre's long touchdown run, they're almost at 5 yards a rush. That's beautiful. On a day they were averaging almost 8 yards a rush, out of the 37 dropbacks for Jacoby Brissett, play action just 4 times.
Yeah.
What is your offensive play caller doing? Because if you start Drake Maye with 2 backup tackles, a center that says, I'm still getting used to playing center and look terrible, and a backup left guard as well, Michael Onwenu back to right guard. Against that pass rush, a team that likes to blitz around 35, 40% of the time, you need to help your rookie quarterback. Alex Van Pelt, who has not adapted since week 2 at all with his team losing, has not shown he's capable of that. I've been the one of you play Drake Maye when the offensive line is ready. You don't play Drake Maye until your offensive coordinator is ready. But guess what? If they won Sunday, Drake Maye would not be playing against the Texans.
No, he wouldn't.
But their offensive coordinator failed there. Their head coach failed there. To not tell him to start calling run plays, this is what they're being dealt with.
Yeah, listen, to play devil's advocate, though, if you start Drake Maye on Sunday against the Dolphins, maybe you win the game. Maybe. I hated the play calling. And by the way, I mean, Jacoby Brissett, you brought this up.
I won't dispute. Maybe you win it.
34 attempts. What are we doing? Now, certainly, you've seen enough at this point of the Jacoby Brissett experience to say, okay, we're ready to move on. But at the same time, you're not really setting him up for success to begin with when you're asking him to drop back that many times in a game where you could have ran the ball down the Dolphins' faces and took their will and won that game. But again, devil's advocate here, if Drake Maye's in that game, makes 1 or 2 plays with his legs, let's just call it, or extends a play with his legs and finds someone down the field, maybe win a winnable game with a play or 2. That's not going to be the case with the Texans. I think it's safe to say all of us feel that way. Unless Drake Maye goes out and puts up Jaden Daniels numbers, you're not beating the Texans. And I don't think with this offensive line, and certainly these receivers, that that's a realistic goal. So regardless of who you play, you're going to need to run the ball the rest of the year. You want to help Drake Maye's development. You want to help Drake Maye not get decapitated because of your offensive line. Run the damn ball. So with Alex Van Pelt dropping back, throwing it all over the yard and not committing to the run even when it has success, it doesn't matter who you – and I've been banging the Drake – George and I have argued on this show and others about Drake Maye, Jacoby Brissett, what week, blah, blah, blah. I am now to the point, the leader of the Play Drake Maye band that I am, I'm to the point where it's like, what difference does it make? The line can't block and you don't commit to the run as an offense. It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. You're not going to have success. If you are in tight games that can come down to a play here, a play there, I like your chances better with Drake Maye because he can move. He can bring that element, but that Jacoby can't.
Yeah.
But that may be few and far between. I mean, that Dolphins game conceivably could be the last game we see like that. I don't believe that's going to happen against the Texans. I think you get smoked. Then you go to London against the Jags. We'll see, but they certainly have weapons offensively. Trevor Lawrence looked a lot better.
They can score more than 17 points.
Bro, 17 points is a magic number. You get to 17 against the Patriots, you're going to win the game.
3-13-10. Those are the point totals of the last 3 games from the past. 3-13-10.
Yep.
Just sit on that. This Texans defense, Josh Allen finished 9 of 30.
Oh, and that's Josh Allen.
Thank you.
Oh, my God.
And you point out, and I said it to you, I go, Trav, you know what? Here's the one thing I'll give Drake Maye. In training camp, if you have a quarterback that can move more,
sure,
and you have a run game, you go play action, you go some bootlegs, you have a movement, buying time, extending the play in a schematic way, that helps your offensive line. Cool. Do you trust Alex Van Pelt to do that?
No, there's no creativity with him.
He hasn't adapted. He has not adapted.
Yeah.
And when it's staring him in the face that a motivated Ramondre Stevenson, after being sat for a 3-and-out, came out, eyes on fire, 2 hands on the ball, eluding everyone, Mike Onwenu, Kayshon Boutte, Nick Leverett having the time of their life run blocking.
Yes, of
Ask
course.
any offensive lineman, pass or run block, 12 out of 10. 120, all of them will say run block.
Yeah.
It's more fun to beat the crap out of someone than drop back and get your face pushed in time and time again. Everything was clicking. He saw it. Everyone at that stadium saw it. Everyone watching saw it. And he didn't do that. I don't trust him to make the proper adjustments to protect a rookie quarterback, but also to call plays to maximize his ceiling.
Yeah.
His athleticism in an RPO is a huge upside. His strong arm downfield. But what are you going to draw plays, downfield shot to Pop Douglas like we saw?
Right.
You don't have the personnel and you don't have the play caller.
Yeah.
I understand playing him. If he played Sunday, could they have won that game? Certainly.
Yeah.
I would not write it off.
Sure.
He could have made plays that Jacoby couldn't have. It's a long-term investment, though, and that's where I always go. And I do not trust the guy that has a code to the vault of that long-term investment sitting in the Patriots bank right now.
It's a long season too, George. Like,
dude, it's week 6.
Yeah, you're gonna play this kid. I get you're at home because you're someone. This is where we disagree. You want to see Drake Maye on the road because you feel as though it's less pressure. Maybe I think you said week 9 against the Titans.
Yep.
You know, I'm someone I'd rather see him at home. You know, have the home crowd behind him. But I damn sure don't want to see him against the Texans. Maybe London. The Jets have a really good defense.
Don't want to see him against the Jets.
I mean,
what did the Jets do to Sam Darnold? Made him look human. Made him look like a New York Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
That's what that defense did.
Yeah, they did.
So you're going to have a team that held Josh Allen to 9 for 10.
Oh.
Then you're going to have him go to London. The Jaguars' defense isn't good, and their defensive line doesn't generate pressure.
I'd rather him get that
But this
start.
offensive line sucks.
Yeah.
And then the week after, you're going to face a team that made Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell, and Justin Jefferson look human.
Right. No, I get it. I would rather wait a week. Keep Jacoby out there. Let him get the hell beat out of him because that's exactly what's happened. And then Drake Maye gets to start in London against Jacksonville. But either way, look, here's the other thing. We got to talk about this too. Do you see a world in which Jacoby Brissett gets a start against the Texans and either has a short leash, hey, offense stinks, you know, Stroud, hot knife through butter, 14-0 Texans first quarter, and you bring in Drake Maye, or do you see, and I believe Keegan brought this up, do you see maybe some packages where Drake Maye gets involved against the Texans?
To me, the former is more likely.
Packages.
We just saw the former, the Jacoby on a short leash.
Short leash.
We just saw a head coach publicly speak about, I might bench Ramondre Stevenson.
Right.
I don't know if he's going to play. We don't know what his role is going to be, and it benefited Ramondre.
Sure.
We just saw a coach come out and say Jacoby wasn't at his best today. What do you say? Jacoby Brissett just wasn't good enough. He literally said that.
He did say that.
That is a coach communicating through the media to Jacoby Brissett. You're not good right now, and your job is in jeopardy. And then they put out this little smoke where there's fire, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Mm-hmm. Through the media, same thing. Could be the same play. Look, Jacoby, see those reports? Those are legit. We have to evaluate you this week. We don't know who's starting yet. And if he goes to Jacoby on Friday, you're starting. And you have to add this pressure. You're a professional athlete.
Sure.
You are the guy. if you F up, the kid will come in.
Yeah.
We're not just going to let you just go out there, buy time, and just get through the game.
Right.
We need to win games. So I think it's that play for Drake Maye, for them to put this out here. The Crafts, it could be a business decision for Drake Maye not to commit to Jacoby Brissett, and I don't blame him. But this is a team that just lost after winning the turnover battle. We're +2 in turnovers.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Your quarterback played okay.
Yeah.
You were running the hell out of the ball.
Yeah.
But time of possession, you were dominated. You had 12 penalties for 105 yards. Clean that up. Focus on that. And focus on Alex Van Pelt before you focus on rushing Drake Maye into an awful situation. But we'll see.
Well, listen, I hate to be this guy because there's nothing you can do now, but we called this. When you bring in a Jacoby Brissett and you say, well, Drake Maye's going to learn from him, what the hell for? Nothing against Jacoby Brissett. He is a pro. And if he's learning that from him, how to be a pro, great. But you had so many other options on the market. And you and I talk about this all the time. You had a Joe Flacco. Look how he's playing.
Signed 7 days after Jacoby and cheaper.
You had and by the way, Super Bowl champ, let's learn from him. Am I crazy? Yeah.
Joe Flacco not as mobile as Jacoby Brissett, though. But
please, what is Jacoby Brissett? Michael Vick?
No,
he ain't mobile either.
Weeks 1 through 3, he was spry. He was quick. He was moving.
I mean,
just saying.
Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold. Some of this stuff, obviously, are you going to pay Cousins? Does he want to come here? Is Darnold the same as he is with O'Connell here? No. But I'm just saying there were other options. You bring in Jacoby Brissett and you want your kid to learn from that. I wonder now, not to go all conspiracy theory but as much as we're complaining about him throwing the ball as much as he did against the Dolphins, is that, hey, this is this dude's final stand. Let's give him a chance. Because the Dolphins certainly, defensively, said, we're going to load the box. They still couldn't stop the run, but we're going to load the box and dare you to beat us throwing the ball. And Jacoby Brissett literally could not do it.
Yeah.
So is some of it that, hey, Alex, I know we can run the ball this week, but we have to evaluate and get a real good look at Jacoby Brissett because we're about to go to the kid. Maybe that's some of it, but even that, I would say, how much tape do you need on Jacoby Brissett? We've seen a whole damn career of this guy. You still haven't figured out yet that he's not really a bona fide number one. I do believe, I'm not saying it's the right move, I do believe they're going to go to Drake Maye against the Texans. I do. And you are setting this kid up for a tough Sunday. Not only because the Texans are so good and their defense is going to get after him with this offensive line, but you're going to go down in the game. And now you're asking a rookie quarterback in his first NFL start with no line and no weapons to throw you back in a game. Good luck. Good luck. You're setting them up for failure.
They brought in Jacoby Brissett, and I think this is the most damning piece of this team and what they did this offseason. You brought in Jacoby Brissett to teach Drake Maye Alex Van Pelt's system because he has that prior experience. That's why they signed Jacoby, because they brought in the OC. They said, bring a veteran quarterback to help this rookie quarterback come along, and eventually he'll take over.
Right.
The problem is your system sucks. And Alex Van Pelt, he's called a full season of plays. When he was with Buffalo, the OC got fired right before this season.
Yeah.
I forget what the year is. And I remember looking at that, and I think they broke 20 points maybe 4 or 5 times that season.
Man.
But that's why you brought in Jacoby Brissett. So I get upset that they went with Jacoby over Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's a better quarterback right now, which is insane to say.
He's a better quarterback, period.
But with this offensive line, I don't think Joe Flacco would be great. But it all comes back to Jacoby's a guy and you're giving up on him. Why did you bring in Jacoby Brissett? To teach the system from this offensive play caller and offensive coordinator who right now, through a 5-game sample size, I don't think will have that play calling job in 3 to 4 weeks if it continues this way. And then you know what you do to Drake Maye? Hey, everything you learned rookie year, reset.
Yeah, throw it out.
Bring in someone new. And who are you going to bring in?
And we have a history of quarterbacks who have had that happen to them. And how's that work out for them, right?
And just to point out, Dave Canales was on the head coach market.
He was.
Clint Kubiak with the Saints was an offensive coordinator.
These are people you were calling for. He didn't leave the Lions, but Ben Johnson, another name you liked.
Pay him.
Yeah.
Pay him.
Yep.
I don't blame. And those are between Canales and Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson's unproven, so we'll see. But I'd rather go with that. You know what they would have loved? Oh, I have a top 3 pick.
Top 3 pick.
I have $75 million in cap space at cash to burn.
Dual threat. Yep.
Yeah. I'd be fine with any of those top 3 quarterbacks. If I'm Dave Canales or I'm Bobby Slowick or I'm Ben Johnson as well. And maybe Dave Canales goes there and brings someone with him.
Yeah.
So, and he'd be the head coach and he would stay. But I'm just getting into that point of, if you're going to go with the head coach and Drake Maye, be better with your offensive coordinator choice.
Amen. And we knew that coming in. And be better with your offensive line for damn sure. Now,
AVP got fired. Sorry to cut you off. AVP got fired by the Browns because the Haslam saw what Deshaun Watson was and what Joe Flacco was. And they said, why are you not getting that production with the guy we gave 100% money guaranteed to after not playing 700 days of football?
Right.
They fired Alex Van Pelt. They fired the running backs coach. They fired the tight ends coach after David Njoku had a Pro Bowl year. That happens. And Alex Van Pelt is a guy that helped clean up everything about Drake Maye's footwork. Bring him in as a QB coach. And have an offensive coordinator as a sounding board for a guy like a Clint Kubiak or a younger up-and-coming guy. Instead of giving the keys to this engine, to this Ferrari, to this team, to Alex Van Pelt, who's unproven. There's so many ways. It's the full offseason, Trav,
for sure.
and it keeps haunting them. What they did with left tackle, what they did with their coaching staff, what they did with their head coach search, what they did with their front office, and still having Matt Groh in there's so many layers to this.
It is. Now, we're talking Drake Maye, who went 3rd overall in the draft, but I'll turn back the hands of time to draft night. Caleb goes 1, Jayden Daniels goes 2, and you and I both like both players. We didn't have any issues with the top order of 1st, 2nd, 3rd in the draft in terms of the quarterback. But if we could go back into that time now, redraft style, would you have taken Jaden over Caleb, number 1?
I would have taken Caleb Williams.
You still would have stuck with Caleb?
I would have.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels has a great deep ball.
All right.
He is starting to throw over the middle, but he didn't do that a ton in college.
Yeah.
But Caleb Williams was like the de facto 1-1. No one was arguing who's going 1. Everyone's going who's going 2, who's going 3.
But what you've seen now, you wouldn't change that.
I still wouldn't change that.
Okay.
We're 5 games into both of their rookie seasons.
And they play each other here shortly.
We see Jaden Daniels, 40% of his dropbacks are either play action or screens. 30% of his dropbacks are play action versus non. With a good running game in Brian Robinson, with a wide receiver 1, you can have your opinion on Terry McLaurin, but a wide receiver 1. With a play caller and Cliff Kingsbury, go look what he did with Kyler. An offensive coordinator and a play caller. Cliff was fired. Why not bring in Cliff?
Facts.
New England. With a guy in Cliff Kingsbury who knows how to give gimme plays to your quarterback. And I'm not saying this to take away from Jaden Daniels, but what his situation is. And a guy that he's at 300 rushing yards already. Like, he's actually on track to have 1,000 yards rushing. A lot of that off the scramble. A lot of yards after contact. And what did he do Sunday? You and I loved. He got out of bounds on runs.
Yeah,
like Jaden Daniels is fantastic.
Yeah, he is.
Caleb Williams, though, was pro-style offense with an awful offensive line. No good receivers. His number 1 receiver didn't go until this 5th, 6th, 7th round.
He has more talent in Chicago than he did USC.
Yeah. He's off to 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. There were the growing pains. I would still take Caleb Williams 1. I still would. Now, you know how I'm going to go on this one.
Uh-oh.
With that 9th pick, you believed in Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones. With that 9th pick, Olu Fashanu.
Yeah.
They believed in the offensive line. They have cleaned up their play. Shane Waldron got better as a play caller. You just see the adjustments made week by week. But I'm sticking with Caleb at 1. I am sticking with Caleb at 1.
Man, this is a tough one because I'm the president of the Caleb Williams fan club. But Jayden Daniels, what he's been doing has just been ridiculous. It feels undeniable to me. The only thing is, I wish we were having this conversation next week so that I can see Jayden Daniels against a real bona fide defense.
There you
And the reason I bring that up, I mean, I'm just looking at the Commanders' schedule here.
Yep.
And they've won 4 straight, and Jayden Daniels has looked like a video game, okay? But we're talking about the Giants. Defensively, they're decent, but that's just a bad team. And that was a close game. Jayden Daniels made the plays down the stretch. Cincinnati's defense is a sieve. The Cardinals don't have a good defense. The Browns should have a good defense. I don't know what the hell's going on with Cleveland. So I want to see Jayden Daniels. This is why I bring up this week against the Ravens. They have the Ravens in the big crab cake. The Ravens have a real defense, and they got some guy named Lamar Jackson. So let's see you in that scenario against a bona fide defense, a tough place to play on the road in this league against an MVP. I want to see what Jayden Daniels does there. I think you also bring up a great point about the style of offenses that are being ran.
Yep.
I believe even going back to college, Jayden Daniels in college ran a college offense, kind of gimmicky. Now in Washington, everyone tells you what Kingsbury's calling's very college, kind of gimmicky, right? Not saying the kid's not good. We watch the games. He's special. He's gifted. Caleb Williams has been running pro style his whole life. Back to high school when I covered him, that was a pro style offense. In college at both stops, Oklahoma and SC, I would argue his offensive lines were not good at either place.
No.
He did have weapons in Oklahoma, but at USC he didn't have the weapons and he didn't have the offensive line, and he had a historically bad defense. Historic, breaking records. So this kid still put up numbers and managed to make himself the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. If you watch him now, he's getting his footing under him. By the way, George, we still see a lot of hero ball from Caleb Williams. They're trying to clean that up. It's almost as if when he has time, he's so shocked by it. He's like, wait, I don't need to do a spin-a-rooney like Booker T.
Which he tried.
Yeah, no, chill in the pocket, make plays. He's figuring it out. With the weapons you brought up that he has, his offensive line at times looks sus, but I actually think that line's better than we think. He's just playing hero ball.
Yeah.
So I think that I would take Caleb. Again, it's tough to say that, seeing the numbers that these guys are doing. By the way, these two play against one another. I would bet right now Caleb gets the better of that matchup because he has a better – well, I don't know. That's arguable too. I was going to say he has a better team, but the way the Commanders are playing, maybe they do. But I would take Caleb 1 over again.
In 3 weeks.
3
Home
weeks they
against
play?
the Bears.
It's in Washington?
That's a 1 o'clock kickoff. That should get flexed to the late
It
window,
could be.
in my opinion.
It could be.
Dude, that should get flexed to Sunday Night Football. I don't care.
What's the Sunday night game that
Let me
week?
see.
That's the key. Because if you're going to flex, you got to, depending on what's on that schedule that night. But
Week 8, hold on.
I would take Caleb 1 again. And I could live to regret that statement. We all could. I tell you what.
Oh, dude, Cowboys 49ers? No. Kick that to 4 o'clock. F Jerry. Jerry, go F yourself. I do not care about you. And put Commanders.
Why is Jerry catching strays?
Because Jerry Jones sucks. And everyone's going to be like, well, you got to protect Jerry. Jerry, I built up this league now. You see now, boy. I built this league to what it is today and how you market. The Cowboys suck. They can't stop anything. That is going to be a blowout. Bears Commanders should be that Sunday night game. 1,000%. What do you want, Chiefs Raiders? No.
Poor Jerry.
Ravens Browns? No, gosh. That is actually the best game Sunday. Bears Commanders.
Jerry, I would like to
because
apologize
of Jaden
to you.
No, don't apologize to him. The guy that says, no one could do this job any better, effing better than me. You know why? Because I give CD Lamb $100 million guaranteed. And I give Dak Prescott $230+ million guaranteed. No one can do. I wait to pay my guys so they get more guaranteed money, and then I say I don't have money for Derrick Henry.
Right.
And look at my run game.
Oh.
Look at the playoff games since our last Super Bowl. I'm 5-13 in the postseason. I'm 5-13. I'm the best. Get the Cowboys out.
Boston has entered the chat where you get random Jerry Jones. Hey, he shows up.
You started with Triple H. Yeah, you started with, we got Triple H to Jerry Jones.
I had a Triple H reference, a Booker T reference, and now we get a Jerry Jones reference. Hey, in fact, why don't you get involved here? 617-790-0928. That's a hotline. Hit us up. Leave a voicemail. Or send us an email at the chat at nesson.com. Listen, we want you to get involved here. Jayden Daniels or Caleb Williams, if you're redrafting, would you still take Caleb 1 or are you going Jayden Daniels? I'm sure the people in D.C. for sure are rolling with Jayden.
To boil it down, I would – that's interesting because Caleb's from D.C.
Right.
He's from Baltimore. D.C.
He's from D.C.
Where he did high school.
Yep.
The quarterback with his pro comp being a marriage of Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes,
sure.
That's a guy I'm drafting.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
Caleb
with you.
Williams.
I'm with you.
That's it.
And over time, I think Caleb will be a better
It's 5
player.
games in.
Yes.
I understand the conversation. I do like having it. But the uptick we've seen from Caleb has proven something. And this is not to take away from Jayden Daniels.
Right.
This is not to take him.
Facts.
In another draft, he would have been 1-1.
Yeah.
In next year's draft, he would be 1-1.
All right, George, get ready. It's time to drop that puck, baby. Bruins are back tonight. Sound the trumpets, release the doves. They take on the Stanley Cup champs in a playoff rematch.
Were you about to say Kraken?
I was, but you can't because that's in Seattle.
That's an actual team.
That's right. Bees at the Panthers. Let's talk big picture here. Futures, if you will, for the season. It always goes back to gambling for your boy. I'm looking at some things here. How about this? Over under 97.5 points for the season. Bees, by the way, minus 215 to make the playoffs. So Vegas is telling you this is a playoff team. Yep. We're like, yeah, no Shaq, Sherlock. We know that. But these odds were interesting to me. 18-1 to win the Stanley Cup. It's not the worst bet you've ever made if you're betting the Bees to win the Cup there. So before we kind of get into the season outlook, what bet would you make for the Bruins? Would you take the Cup? Would you take them to win the East? Would you go over on points? What would you do here?
I like that plus 850 to get to win the East.
To win the East?
I said it. Like, this is a Stanley Cup contending team.
Yeah.
It is. You just paid Jeremy Swayman. So you have him behind your top three who are as good of skaters as you'll find. You have a guy with one of the sickest shots in the league in David Pastrnak.
Yeah, bro.
Three guys that'll be together on the power play. And Zaka and Lindholm, who can also be on the PK. And with how good they are down the middle, like Charlie Coyle's coming back. Don't let that be written off. You have back-to-back 200-foot centers, along with Brad Marchand next to him, with Trent Frederick, how big they are on their back end too, bringing in a Zadorov who's built like a school bus. Like they took every right step. They got better in scoring, which they needed.
Yeah.
And they got bigger on their back end to clear out space in front of them and not get pushed around in front of their
Great
net.
offseason.
I just love that plus 850 because if you can get them almost 9-1 to win the East, which I think they are, a top three team in the East. Like,
I agree.
The Panthers are still the Panthers. That would be a third straight cup
They'll
run.
be there. Yeah.
That'd be his third straight run to the Stanley Cup Finals, that physical they play. I think the Hurricanes, they're 7-1, but they've taken a step back. Like they lost Gensel, and there's the brand, and I understand it.
Agreed.
And
I like the Rangers. I think the Rangers are still there.
At 6-1. They have Shesterkin. Who knows?
They're still there.
How many times have we seen it from the blue shirts where Mika Zibanejad disappears?
Yeah.
Or they don't get the play they need.
But they could win the East, George.
They
could win the East.
I just like that Bruins at plus 850.
Yeah, I do too. It's not a terrible bet. Listen, I don't hate the 18-1 for the Stanley Cup. Hell, if you're going to take them to win the East and you're telling me that they're going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals against whoever comes out of the West, I like my chances. And even though that's a nice price for the East, I'm greedy. Okay, I want all the money. 18-1, if they're going to be in the Stanley Cup Final anyway, for them to win the damn thing is not a terrible bet. That's where I'm at with it. I completely agree with everything you said across the board. I am out on the Canes. I've lost enough money betting on them in the past. I think that championship window is closing, if not closed. I'm with you, team for team. Panthers in whatever order. Panthers, Bruins, and Rangers.
Yeah.
And with the Rangers' recent history of choking in the postseason, this could be a Bruins-Panthers all over again. That's why tonight's exciting. We saw it in the playoffs. Panthers were a cut above, but the Bees' offseason was fantastic. As you said, they addressed every single weakness across the board. I hate how long it took to get Swayman wrapped up, but hell, we got Swayman wrapped up.
Before the puck dropped.
What more? Yes, that's it. What more do you want? And it's a long season, so he gets in when he gets in. Make sure he's fresh, ready to rock and roll. He's in shape. I like the Bruins. I think this is going to be a big season, and I also believe, and we've talked about this, their championship window is wide open right now. This is the time you got to capture it. The East is not quite as strong at the top as it was last season and recent seasons. I think this is a Bees season. I'll go bold, brother. I think it begins tonight. I think they beat the Panthers.
Yeah,
in
I think
Florida
they do.
tonight.
Banner night for Florida in their building.
I think
the Bruins come out.
I think they steal
we'll see
it.
what Korpisalo looks like. That's a tough part.
That's key.
Just looking at the East and you look at the overall landscape of the NHL, it is interesting. Like, what do the Preds look like adding a Steve Stamkos to Philip Forsberg?
Yeah.
What do the Lightning look like? I'm not going to talk about the Leafs. They're not even a word when it comes. But I just look at what this team did with the experience they have.
Yeah.
And they have such crucial guys right now, like Brad Marchand coming off 3 different surgeries. How does he look? The window is now. You need that from your captain. Most importantly to me, the most important player on this team, so no duh, is Jeremy Swayman.
Of course.
Because guess what? 8.25.
Woo!
That means 55-plus starts in the regular season and go be the guy all throughout the playoffs. Can you do that? We'll see.
By the way, George, not only are we dropping the puck, but we got a new show alert. more fire, more fire, more fire. How about this? The Hockey Hub right here on Nest and available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the Hockey Hub. It's hockey season, and we're loving life, baby. Hey, for Boston has entered the chat, Travis Thomas, George Balekji here inside the PNC Bank studio. We'll see you next time on Boston has entered the chat. Peace.
Later.